Welcome back to the Gold Room. Today we're doing something kind of the same but a little bit different. So we've got a co-host interview. We're lucky enough to have Tegan from Talent Mining and Minerals, and also have your own podcast too, don't you?
Yes,
What's it
I
called?
do. The Mining Mum podcast.
Great. Give us a little rundown on it.
So I have, the Mining Mum podcast. I interview professionals that work in the mining industry about their lives. I ask them for tips and tricks as well. Predominantly women in the mining industry, but obviously we do not discriminate. So
no one should.
I love a story. So and
Same
I love
here.
a yarn just as you. So,
Bloody oath. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
Look, we start every episode off with, as you know, the life and the times. So let's get into the life and the times of Tegan.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't ever think that I would end up in mining. I lived in New Zealand and I studied fashion. I wanted to be a celebrity stylist, actually.
Wow.
So,
What part of New Zealand?
I grew up in Gisborne and then went to uni in Auckland. And then, started uni, studied fashion. Knew I wasn't really good at studying, so I ended up leaving in my second year and starting to work in like Huffer. Do you remember Huffer?
Yeah,
Karen Walker. So worked
Huffer,
for
was that the little three circles?
dots. Yeah. So worked with them, Karen Walker, a few other like fashion labels. And then got into TV and film. I was working on Power Rangers for a couple of seasons. So that was amazing. And then went to LA and actually for 3 months kind of couch surfed a little bit with like a few friends, and I was interning as a celebrity stylist. So
like the Devil Wears Prada girl.
yes,
Wow.
I was the full intern running around picking up clothes, going to photo shoots. So
You enjoy it?
I loved it.
That would have been right out of your comfort zone coming from bloody New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. But that was my dream. I wanted to end up in New York and live in the fashion world. But then, as life has it, ran out of money. My visa expired, so I had to go back to New Zealand, and you know what it's like, no money, and having to get a couple of jobs. I was just like, this is just not working fast enough for me. So called my dad. He was in the mines at the time in Port Hedland, and the first question was, can I please borrow some more money? And he was like, absolutely not.
Awesome,
like,
what a legend. That's a dad.
I've given you enough money to kind of over the life. So you need to come up here and work. And in the beginning, I was like, is he joking?
How old are you now?
I'm 33.
And how old were you when you decided to make the move across to Port Hedland?
I was 22. Wow. So, peak 20s. And then, ended up coming over to Port Hedland. It was a 1-year plan. I was just going to get a job, make some quick cash. And
mining doesn't work like that.
Yes.
Most people come here with a 5-year plan. I'm going to go to the Kalgoorlie. I'm going to go work up north. I'm going to save all my money and take it back to New Zealand where it's fucking expensive to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just don't do it.
No, so a 1-year plan turned into 11 years and still here.
Husband?
Yes, met him actually at the Pier Hotel. So if anyone's been to Port Hedland, you may know it. It was a historical place. Most stabbings or something.
Really?
In Australia. Like it was, I think it was a bit rough back in the days.
Yeah, that's a horrible
It was
claim to
always
fame.
a good time,
Stabbings?
No, that wasn't when we were going there.
I've got you. Yeah, I know. So what were you doing? And what was your first job in mining?
So what was I had when you first come over from New Zealand and you don't realise how long it takes to get everything set up.
3 days.
Really?
Yeah,
3 days?
I had a job in 3 days.
But
Caught
what
the
about
train
your
to
tax phone number
Did
and
it
all
all.
that?
Did it all.
In
And
3
within
days?
3 days I went to TIS recruitment and I said, I'll do anything.
Oh my gosh.
I'll do anything.
Yeah.
Put me in anywhere, I'll do whatever I've got to do. And this lady, I came over with a friend of mine, Ollie Janae, and we both had work with 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Within 3 days, yeah.
That's
it was
so
awesome.
good. Well, I obviously cooked it because it took me like a couple of weeks. But anyways, got into a gardening role. So we were like doing mine site gardening. It was really cool. There was like
Like rehabilitation or enviro
Sort
work?
of,
Or?
yeah. It was more like we did a lot of whippersnippering. Like in Port Hedland, the site has it used to have big gardens, and we would just go around kind of like cleaning up the sites.
Wow.
And there's like 5 different sites for the company that I worked for, so you'd go to like all those different sites. But it was cool. It was like, young 20s. You're working like 12-hour days with all these other young people making $45, $50 an hour.
Crazy.
And basically getting hooked in and then going to Bali on the days
Golden
off.
handcuffs, right? Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first job. And then, so how it kind of happened is I was in that gardening role, and then, I saw the other team, which was like part of the site infrastructure crew. They were in the civil department. So like if you got your tickets, you'd obviously get a pay rise. And I didn't have any tickets back then, and I was like, well, I want to get a more full-time job and I want like more money. So I went off, got some more tickets, got my HR license,
Nice.
got my Bobcat ticket, and then basically just kept pestering my supervisor to give me a turn in the civil crew. Luckily enough, I ended up having like a really good supervisor. He helped me get on full time, and then that's when I went on full time with the big mining company.
Who was the big mining company?
PHE.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah, so prior to that, we worked for like a smaller company, but then they took people on full time. So
Like a contractor.
A contractor.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and then
You enjoy your time at BHP?
I loved it. Like I always, speak really highly of it. I guess I had like really supportive leaders over that whole time, a lot of mentors and sponsors that kind of helped me progress into different roles. Much like that first supervisor, kind of every leader that I worked with always helped me to get to that next level or move into that next role. So,
Lucky. How many years were you with BHP?
So the whole time I was in Port Hedland, obviously 11 years, I think like about 9.
Cool.
The first 2 years, like contractor, and then went to BHP.
So you mentioned it started as a 1-year plan. Mm-hmm. 11 years later.
Yes.
What are you doing?
So at the end of last year, took a redundancy.
Was it great?
It was great. It was great then, but then like when you come to Perth and the reality of like paying your mortgage and your bills and like living and renovating a house and all those things, I'm like, oh God, I miss, some days I'm like, oh my God, I miss that weekly income, that whole time we had housing, we had our bills paid for.
All of the housing was paid for?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, housing. So I think pre-tax, it was about 120 a week that was taken out for your rent, but then you also didn't pay your bills, and I had a work car, so like basically.
Oh, it sounds like I've been working for some horrible companies over the years, eh?
That's
BHP
if you live residentially.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I
sure.
mean?
I lived in Kalgoorlie for 5.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I certainly didn't get bugger all paid for.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. So obviously that really helps you to set yourself up, your family up.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's really amazing small town. So I think that's another thing that I do miss about living rural is that everyone here is so busy. I feel like your friends, everyone works Monday to Friday. On the weekends, there's kids stuff. Everyone's so busy. Whereas in Port Hedland, it's like, oh, what are you up to? Yeah, I'll come over after work. We'll catch up.
That small town vibe, right?
Yeah, and I think like that's what's so amazing. You become friends with everyone, and like your workmates become your family. And
they do, don't they?
Yeah, it's really like a lovely community. So,
what was the thing that you enjoyed the most about the variety of work when you're in Port Hedland?
I guess so. Starting gardening, then going to civil, then I went into like a projects role, and then more into coordination and leadership.
Oh, cool.
So I think working from the ground up really helped me to like step into those leadership roles because you're essentially like looking after the teams that you know intimately.
Yep. Did BHP push for that?
I guess.
Or was that something that you asked for?
So prior to my I went on maternity leave probably like, maybe the 3rd or 4th year. that I'd been up there. Prior to that, my goal was only to just work, check in, check out, make the money, travel, and also I had an online store making jewellery.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, where I'd like fly to Bali, Hong Kong, all over and source jewellery and had an online store. So my goal was building money to build that business.
Yep.
But then when I got pregnant, I went on the maternity leave. I had to make the choice, like, am I going to keep doing that business or am I going to go back to the stable salary and keep continuing to work? And when I went back, obviously things changed. You can't work a 12-hour shift. Like you've been at home looking after a baby. You don't want to be out hosing or shoveling, because you still got to go back and look after baby and clean the house and all those things that you didn't used to have to do. So that's when I kind of requested for a new role to go into more of a Monday to Friday role. And back then, there wasn't, unless you were like admin or planning, there wasn't really like any roles if you weren't traded to go into.
Yep.
So what I did
about
that, basically, I was back and I was like saying to my superintendent, I really just want to go into a role, and there was a team leader role for projects and it was like water services. And obviously I'm not a plumber, haven't worked in that trade. And so I pretty much, as you know, I told you before, I'm a researcher, did everything that I could to learn about, I did my poly welding ticket.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, basically talked to all the plumbers, asked them heaps of questions and also pushed myself to go through the Section 44 it was at the time, to get my supervisor sign off, basically to convince the supervisor and superintendent to give me a shot. And
well done.
Yeah, and so I thank him a lot. We're still in touch, and basically he gave me the first shot in that leadership role as a team leader, and he was like, one of those Boilermakers, like an old Boilermaker. He was rough and didn't, in the beginning, took a bit of persuading, but then once we'd worked together and we kind of complemented each other because I was into coordination and spreadsheets and following up quotes and doing budgets and stuff, and he loved that, and he would be out in the field, and so I think we saw each other's strengths in that, and then from there, he kind of helped push me into different roles after that as well.
So from gardening to superintendent.
Yes.
That is wild.
Yeah.
What key strengths do you think that you have that led you to make all of those changes to get to that position?
I think the key thing is having other people that believe in you as well. As I mentioned, each time I've kind of worked with really good mentors.
Sounds like you've done a lot on your own though. You've pushed and pushed and pushed, and that comes with drive and determination from within oneself.
Yeah, I am obviously quite driven, and I like to research and get to know things. So if I know I want to go for that supervisor role, I'll go out of my way to learn about the team, learn about who's in it, learn about what they do. I really like to research, connect, and I think I also love leading people and working with different people because I believe in everyone, if that makes sense. So I always see the best in those people and their strengths before they can see it.
That's a good trait to have,
Yeah, and much to my last team, they used to hate me because I'd be like, you could do this, this and this, and you should be doing this, and what are you doing next? I'm always like, okay, what's next? That's just the way that I operate.
That's awesome. A lot of people don't have that. It's that get up and go. That's awesome, Tegan. So you've talked about mentors. Mm-hmm. You've had obviously some great mentors to help you. What are some of the things that you believe makes a great mentor?
To be honest, I think I've done both where it's the structured. So I've actually been in the WIMWA, the Women in Mining WA mentoring program. I had an amazing mentor. She was from Anglo Gold. She was a Kiwi too. Wow. She's like a VP.
They're everywhere.
Super impressive. Yep. And that structured approach was really good. So, going in and knowing exactly what you wanted to get out of it. But I honestly think what's more valuable is having sponsors, so people that you've worked with or, have helped with on committees or, people that that will sponsor you for your next opportunity or keep an ear out when you're not in the room. that is definitely what's kind of helped me a lot, is people that I've built true connections with.
Yep.
They've helped guide me, and they're the people that I call when I don't know anything. Like the plumbers, when I was in that team leader role, I'd built such good rapport with some of them that I'd be like, shit, we've just stuffed this up. Can someone please come and help me? I know that it's a Saturday morning, just like people, if you treat people good, then I guess you can see the repercussions.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you've stepped away from a stable job, 11 years of a
Yes.
stable job.
Yeah.
And into running your own business, which is amazing. Got that entrepreneurial zest, if you
Yes.
will. Hit me with a couple of struggles that you've seen in the last 6 months, a few things that you've found difficult,
Yeah.
and what you've done to overcome them.
The first thing that pops out to me is working at home. I have never worked at home. I'm not a work at home gal. I'm like, I go to work, I work, and then I come home, and that's home. So learning to work at home while I'm kind of transitioning has been the biggest struggle, especially when we're mid-renovation and, you're trying to have calls and you got people coming and painting your roof, those types of things. So
I understand that better than anyone.
Oh my gosh. That's probably been the biggest barrier for me. Just to, in terms of focus, right? Like I need to be in the zone wherever I'm at, try to be present. So I guess I'm still in the midst of trying to find an office in that next space. But, what I'm trying to do is connect with people, because that's another thing that I found is isolating from working with so many people forever to then going and working solo by myself at home, not having that connection. I'm like a connector. I need to be talking, chatting, meeting people. That's what lights me up.
Yep.
Even coming here today, loving it, going to networking events, meeting with people, just, being purposeful about going out and meeting people.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, networking in this industry is very important. I just signed up last month with at the WA Mining Club.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Very awesome operation.
Yeah.
There's some really cool people there, really helpful, great environment to be a part of, I think.
Yeah, I went last month. It was amazing. I've been to obviously heaps of corporate events, but that was one of the best corporate events that I've been to, where people actually genuinely come up to you and what do you do?
Yep.
Cool. I can connect you with this person. And that's actually what you want from networking.
Yeah.
Those are probably my biggest two struggles. And then obviously moving from somewhere where you had all the connections and that safety net and the income
That's
and minimal bills, to then, putting yourself out there. Obviously I had the socials before, but really when you're marketing your business, it's hard, right? You don't want to pressure anyone into working with you. You don't want to be too salesy, because, I hate when you're being pushed into something.
I don't like it either.
So I think that's probably for me been one of the biggest business struggles is trying to find that happy medium of making sales, but not forcefully making sales.
Yeah. Tell me about talent mining and minerals. Let's get into your business.
Yeah, so Talent obviously launched at the beginning of the year. Really, we want to be obviously part of the name and the brand, The Mining Mum. It is a lot of women that I've been working with at the moment, either that are wanting to get into the industry or currently in the industry trying to look for other opportunities. And yes, we do recruitment and we do labour hire, but I really want to do more talent management. So working with the candidates to find the right opportunity as opposed to any opportunity. And that's the same as companies, not just filling seats, right? The company that I'm working really closely at the moment, I've been actually in that company working in and out of business development and coordination and stuff.
Wow.
So that we can help to build their company with the best people. So intimately knowing the owners and also knowing what candidates are going to work with those people. So
that's really important.
Yeah.
You need to find the right person to work in with the team.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So your podcast.
Yes.
Go. Tell me all about it.
So I guess how it started is I actually, it's quite a funny story. I went to Hamilton Island with one of my friends.
I thought you were going to say you went to Hamilton. That's where I'm from. It's
Hamilton, no,
not a great place.
no, it's a little bit different. The wet Sundays, we were like on yachts and stuff. So no, my friend, she's a wedding dress designer, really well known in New Zealand, internationally.
Are we allowed to say her name?
Yeah, Trish Ping.
Hi, Trish.
Hi, Trish. Yeah, she's amazing. So, wedding dress designer, we went on a girls' trip to the Wet Sundays, and, majority of the girls were business owners or social media influencers. Like, actually, they were business owners but had personal brands, right? And they were killing it,
Awesome.
Like, I was like,
That could be me.
yeah, like that could be me, you know what I mean? And on the same thing, they all worked in fashion and jewelry and like beauty, and they're like mining, like
they've got no idea how
they're
awesome
just like,
it is.
what is it? You know what I mean? So basically seeing the interest in it really made me think like, oh, maybe more people are interested in it. And so then that's how I started a TikTok and Instagram and those types of things, and started like documenting what I was doing. And obviously it just kind of took off, and people were just constantly like, what is it? How do I get in? I want that job, blah, blah, blah. But for me, obviously, always thinking of the next thing, I was like, okay, cool. Well, socials is good, but I need to formalize it. And that's kind of how it got into a podcast, because, like going from socials, making it a bit more corporate, and then also interviewing people that had been in the industry, work in the industry, usually more at like, any level actually, but just have like really good overview that can kind of help people wanting to get in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great outlook. That's fantastic. Sounds like a great support structure. You want to build a great support structure. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I had no social media. I've got no social media. The team actually forced me to get an Instagram. I haven't posted anything personal on my Instagram. It's just all the gold room, the gold room, the gold room.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like you. I think I started this to support the industry. I wanted to get some great service providers, mining service providers. We've been lucky enough to have some amazing gold juniors, mining juniors come on.
Oh, cool.
So that's been really cool. Oh, look, having a great time, loving it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Like it's my little... Obviously, I love a chat.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to support and keep supporting the industry.
Yeah,
That's what it's about, much like yourself.
Yeah.
Finally, for the last question I have is, do you have any advice for anyone that's sitting there in their donga or sitting there out on site listening to it in this podcast on Spotify or whatever they choose to listen to it on?
Subscribe.
If they're sitting there with thinking, shit, I've got these golden handcuffs and I'm not trying to take people away from the mining industry, because we need more people in the mining industry, but looking towards entrepreneurship.
One thing that I could have done a lot better in hindsight is save my money and set up better investments. So, I think we did pretty well, but I just think you get sidetracked when you're there and you don't actually realize how good the benefits and the money is.
Yep.
So when you're out of it, looking back, that's probably the biggest advice that I'd say, especially if you're trying to start a business, make the investment early on, track your money and make sure that, when you are starting the business, if you can afford to, jump into it. But if you can't, it's such a good way if you can get on a part-time roster to be able to do both until you can let go of the handcuffs, because it is hard, even with the redundancy. Once you start actually paying the real world and not having the income, it's dwindling away.
Yeah.
So, that's
my
probably
advice,
the biggest thing.
Yeah. My advice to people in mining is nothing to do with entrepreneurship. I don't even know what I'm doing. So don't take advice from me. But superannuation. Did you max out your contributions while you were working into your superannuation?
Yeah,
you did.
I did. Yeah,
from when you started in mining.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And the best thing
Nice
as
work.
well that I did, which a lot of people don't do, is if your company has share programs, make sure you get onto that. Because like at BHP, we had shares and they match it after 3 years. Wow. So when I cashed out at the end of however many years, 9 years, it was just like this forced saving. And actually we cashed out a little bit prior to when I left to help buy our first property. So like it's just forced savings as well. Like if I could give anyone any advice on anything, it doesn't even have to be mining, is like just check your financial health. Like, that's what's going to make.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, like that's probably, and I'm like, should be doing more myself, but.
We all should.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone can be doing more. Anyway, Tegan, look, thank you so much for coming in. You're a bloody bubbly person. I was just like, I hadn't met you before, and I thought it was lovely talking to you on the phone, and then to have you in the studio, and obviously to have you co-host a couple of upcoming episodes will be awesome.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you very much once again for tuning in to an awesome episode. If you liked Tegan's episode, make sure you subscribe to her podcast as well. Thanks for tuning in. See you.